Matrix, a divine paradigm of love and universal consciousness, with your host, Janet Kira Lessin and Dr. Sasha Lessin.
Together we transform the world.
And now, here are your hosts, Janet Kira and Dr. Sasha Lessin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sacred Matrix. And I'm your host, Janet Kira Lessin, and I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Sasha Lessin, and our producer is Debra DeFranco, and you're listening to Revolution Radio Studio B. And today we have Dollie, Eanna-Dawn, Jensen, Indigostar. Wonderful name. We'll have to ask her how she got that. And she's a producer, editor, let's see, what's this called? SpaceLinkTV.com, and she works with Forbidden Knowledge TV, and she's an ancient civilizations theorist. She's a writer, and she's known for What If, 2017 in DocUFObia, 2017, must be movies. So Dollie found herself growing up in the 70s and 80s, and her life seemed so unusual to the others around her. She could see auras, use telepathy, she could astrally travel, and use clairvoyance. And she's now in her 40s, and I think this is an older bio. She's now married to Thomas Mickey Schroeder. And she raised a full Starseed family of crystal and rainbow children into this brand new leap forwards in human evolutionary presence. So we're going to talk about her Children's Starseed Network and her work as an ancient civilizations theorist. What would you like to say, Dr. Lessin?
I want to hear about this network, definitely.
Yes, and we know Billy Carson is the creator of Forbidden Knowledge, I guess, TV. So we'll get her role in that capacity. So welcome today. It's the middle of the night for you. You're in the UK. Welcome to the night, Dollie Indigostar. Aloha from Maui, Hawaii.
Hello.
You have to unmute. Okay.
Janet and Sasha, can you hear me well?
Yes.
Hi. Hi. What a lovely introduction there. Thank you so much.
Well, it's a delight having you on. We've had Thomas on earlier, a couple of years ago, and so now it's your turn. So
yes.
Do tell us about your life. Where were you born, raised, and what happened in terms of your paranormal existence?
Oh, I've always had a bit of a strange world. My world's kind of been a bit paranormal from the beginning. From a very early age, I have early memories of ET interaction. Since I've become older, I've known many of those interactions to be as what we know as ET interactions. And I had abilities through my childhood and was placed into a program when I was 17 with some other individuals and was monitored in a house. It was a governmental program. Some may have heard of the secret space program. And I've had quite a lot of strange interactions ever since, let's say. And they've led me into the paths of work that I do now, and have been huge parts of my life in lessons and teachings, I'd say.
Well, let's unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, the first thing I always want to know is, did you consent to being in the SSP?
And I want to know, I want to go back further in time to your first contact. When did you become aware that, there was some kind of, a lot of us start with ghosts as we're children. and then where that they're interdimensional and extraterrestrial, and it's very complicated. It's not just ghosts. What was your first awareness? How young were you, and what was going on?
I was about 2 or 3. I have vivid memories of hiding from whatever was coming for me, and my parents would actually physically I'd go missing for little periods of time where they couldn't find me. And I'd appear in a place in the house. So I guess it was round about then, because I was having a lot of dreams that were what I now know as out-of-body experiences. But at the time, I just thought that it was part of me. Just it was part of something normal that belonged to me. I just thought everybody else was that way as well. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. When did you become aware that it wasn't you?
And other people's world is different.
Yeah, other people's world. They look like.
That would have been in my teens. I began to push it away and rebel, as most teens do. I was the typical classical kid that didn't want to comply or go to school, or the typical indigo kid, what they describe as an indigo kid, star kid. I questioned everything. I hadn't got time to be wasting my time on these things. I wanted to go off digging and exploring. I wanted to jump on a plane then and go digging somewhere, and it was a different world for me growing up entirely. I knew I was different. So I was gifted in the arts as well, so I did a lot of dance and theatre, and so I just got to flow within a different world with people that kind of accepted me for who I was as well. My parents were very, very supportive and acceptive for my behaviour. I'll put it as behaviour. But they just let me flow with it, They didn't. I wasn't sent to church or ordained or anything like that, in a Christian church. I wasn't. So religion for me as a child, it wasn't pushed on me or forced on me, but I wanted to know. My mother wouldn't let me go into a church until I was old enough to walk into one myself. But when I was smaller, I would question in depth, and I would have in-depth memories of the creation experience, telling my mother it was wrong, that the Bible was wrong and the books were wrong and everything was just totally wrong. And this was age 3, 4. But in my teens, it really kicked in that I was different and, hey, I'd better stay quiet here a little bit.
You said you wanted to go off on digs. Are you talking about archaeological digs? You wanted to go digging.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, as a child, I was ready to go and be an archaeologist there and then, or, go searching. I was already searching. Took religion for education at school. Failed miserably. I failed at religious education. Can you believe it? Failed at everything at school because I just didn't want to comply. I didn't want to be there.
Right. What was your who inspired you? Who were your heroes? Like when I was a child of the 60s, Eric von Daniken came along and on Star Trek. So those things inspired me. But what inspired you?
Oh, well, when I was a child, it was things like Close Encounters, 2001 Space Odyssey, Silent Running. Do you remember that one, Silent Running? That's a really old one.
I'm making a note. I remember that one about was
really sci-fi.
Space where they grew things. Was that Silent Running?
Yeah, they had sorry, my dog. They had like little space domes, and they had to save the forest that was in space there, and they built little domes. It was amazing, and it really inspired me, that the whole concept of living out there in space, and that I knew that there was something else out there. And growing up with E.T. as a kid, and, you know, Flash Gordon, and then we had, Power Rangers, and all the He-Man and She-Ra and Battlestar Galactica. It just totally, you know, that was the world I wanted to be in. I wanted to be in space, you know. I was already there as a kid.
Right. So what about the secret space program? You said that you were in your teens. How old were you when they took you to this group home, and what did they do? Explain that to us. What was going on?
Well, I was aware that I'd always been tested through school growing up. I'd always been taken aside for little tests, and been in little rooms on my own, and been left to play with instruments, and got to repeat a lot of stuff at school. I always felt very stuck, very young, having to repeat a lot of work that I didn't want to do. And when I was older and left school, I was put into a program that I agreed to, that was a governmental program run by the local government. And I lived in a house with 7 other individuals, and those other individuals were of interest. They all led very interesting lives. We all led interesting lives and seemed to all have something in common. And my life was never, I never felt alone, left alone after that. And then a lot of events happened that correlated with a lot of stories and other people's experiences that surround the secret space program with the 20 and 20 Back project. That really connected deep with me. And then, a lot of the Mars stuff kept coming up, and then I worked with, photo analyzing with Mars stuff and NASA stuff, which is a lot how I got into, my ancient civilizations work. It was not only just through my own interest of being visited by something that I didn't know. It was discovering life on other planets. So it sent me into a whole new world. So everything with the secret space program kind of began to connect. With
what
people.
What happened to you personally in this? You were in this group home, and everybody led very interesting lives. What do you mean by interesting lives? What were they doing? What were you doing?
Mm-hmm. I was being made for something that I wasn't aware that I was involved with at the time. Everyone else seemed to be on a career path, and mine seemed to be connected with a hybrid program. So I was connected.
Children, or you are a hybrid, or both? Which
I was connected with someone to have children, and after that was over, that was it. My days of having children were over too.
How many children did you have? And are these children you carried and gave birth to, or were they removed when you were younger? When you were early on in pregnancy?
Yeah, there's a lot. I had 3 live births. I had that are my own children, and I had 1 twin, which was with my last child, that kind of disappeared. It disappeared while I carried that one. Yeah, it disappeared while I carried it. I had an experience and lost that child, sadly. But I was still carrying my son. So it was a twin.
Oh, so you had you had 2 children and 1 child disappeared while you were carrying it.
Exactly.
Did you see the 2?
Yes, I did. Yes, I got to see it. I went to the hospital and there was an empty sac, and they told me that I would be bleeding for some time. And I asked them if there was a twin, because it was clear that it was visible. This was my 3rd pregnancy. I could clearly see that there was another sac with just an umbilical cord, nothing else. And my other baby was sitting at the side of it, and they just said to me that I'd be bleeding for some time, and that it was from something internal, and that was it. Do
you have any insight on what really happened? Did they come and take you and remove it, or what was going on?
I have no idea. I've been told by a few people that they feel that this child has been taken, that it had been taken off planet, maybe, a possibility, or that perhaps it was taken somewhere else. I have no idea. That's something that I don't talk about, Janet, much.
Is your consciousness still connected with that of the child? Can you still feel that child in any way, or does that child? Yeah, I thought so.
Yes, I can, really strongly. Yeah.
What energy do you share with each other?
Well, we share. It's a male energy. I get that. It's another male energy, and I share that we are totally connected, but on a different dimensional frequency.
What I always wonder is, what's the effect of this child on his twin?
Oh, his twin is very interesting. His twin is enough for 2 children. Funnily enough, he is a bundle of energy and very much a starseed, and very, very grown for his years. He's wonderful. He certainly keeps me busy.
How old is the twin that's living? How old is he now?
He's 6. He's 6 now.
Oh, he's only 6. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Does he talk about his twin to you? Does he say stuff?
Yeah, he has done. He has said little random things like, there's 2 of me, Mummy. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And when he was very, very first beginning to talk, he sat on my lap and looked at the moon and pointed and said to me, whoosh, in my belly, that he got there. And I said, wow. So we had kind of a little mini conversation of him telling me that he'd come from the stars to be in my belly, which was interesting because I already knew he was coming along before he arrived. and so did his dad, which was also involved in the whole interesting saga of the SSB past history. And we both strongly knew that this starseed energy was going to come bursting through. It was amazing. And he did. He came through with a huge energy and lots of disruption and lots of chaos. And there's been lots of chaos ever since. So, yeah, he's a typical starseed kid.
Are the ETs still taking you on board ship? Have they ever shown you any of your children up there, your hybrid children?
Yes, funnily enough, I think I've seen 2 of them with somebody else that was with me. And I managed to bump into 2 beings in daylight. Somebody else was with me. They witnessed them as well. And they had lilac hair and lilac almond, beautiful shaped eyes. And there was a male and there was a female. And they both looked at me and the person that I was with. Telepathy communicated with us. And that was quite an interesting interaction. And I said to that person directly after, I almost felt as though I was connected to them, as though they belonged to me in some way. And this other person said, yeah, I felt as though that they were connected as well. Because it was just that the way that they looked and how they communicated and explained that they only had that brief moment in time that they were given to share that moment in the physical, and that they wanted to come and experience it. So
wow.
I'm overwhelmed.
You touched any of these children?
I could have touched them. Not that I'm aware of. I've had lots of astral giving birth scenarios and other where they've been taken, and my last SSP was quite interesting, but not that I've ever got to see any of the children. No.
Okay, so what happened on your last SSP that you just alluded to?
Oh, it was a nightmare that was too real, Sasha. That's going to have to be another time, because I still haven't quite digested it still yet. And it's been 3 years. Yeah. It's very scary, that one. And I don't want to scare anybody out there. That one's for me only. Private.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you bring this group home, that's when your secret space program experiences began. Were you, and we've interviewed dozens of SSP personnel, and so there's a little understanding, but of course everybody's experiences can be unique and different. Were you aware if you were taken to other parts of this planet, onto other planets?
Yes.
Okay, what happened to you, and was it a 20 in back or a 40 in back or a 60 in back? What did you have?
I'm now realizing that it's a lot longer because it hasn't stopped, and I've been in this since I've been born. So it's never not been part of my life, as far as I'm aware. And as far as I'm aware, that it will always be part of my life, and that I am always going to be part of something.
Did you go to a specific planet, or did they keep you on Earth? What was your story?
Or on ship.
Or on ship?
I've done a lot of ship training. I've done a lot of light ship training. I've also done a lot of rescuing. I've done a lot of rescue missions with others. I've done a lot of connecting and protecting, and I've done a lot. Let's
unpack that a little bit.
I'm sure I've been to Hawaii.
What kind of ships were you on? What other personnel were on there?
Oh, the personnel that I've seen on there are very, very human looking. Very, very human looking. Most that I've interacted with are more human looking than E.T. when I've been doing SSP work.
Were they the normal skin tones? I have one SSP person. They had different skin tones than human tones. Were they the normal skin tones or different skin tones, colors?
Different skin tones, different colours, and I've been aware of different races as well. I've been aware of reptilian races and greys and other beings that I've called plasma beings, that I like to call the plasma beings. I've had interactions with those.
What was your role? Were you in charge, or were you a subordinate? What was your role on board ship? Did they have a hierarchy like human ships do?
I've never found out, Janet, because I've always done things that have got me into trouble there. Like, I've always got memories of being in trouble and just doing things that I shouldn't be doing. Like,
how do you react when you do something?
Like stealing shit. How do I react? I usually go on hide, and they usually come and find me, and I usually end up quite injured and have a lot of dreams and nightmares and strange occurrences that happen to go along with it, and it kind of...
Injured? What do you mean? Do they beat you up? What happened?
Oh, yeah, I've been hurt, and, I've been hurt before. They don't necessarily, beat me up, but I've played a game of cat and mouse with them.
Wow.
I have played a game of cat and mouse with them. They are aware, yeah.
Have you been shot with weapons?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have been shot, a few times. Yeah.
Have they ever had to revive you, like you were killed? We hear stories of people, they regenerate them, some people's heads get taken off.
Yeah, I was just about to say, one of my interactions with, I've had my head removed, I've had, they've shown me my body chopped up into little parts, and I've seen clones, and I've seen other things, and I've seen things that go on what they're doing on Mars, and I've seen quite a few. No.
Are these clones or clones of other people? Like
clones of other people, lots of other people, but a lot of people in general that are SSP, because it's easier to clone them and use them for bait, basically. That's what they use them for with on other SSP missions. They're used as bait projects.
What, to draw the enemy out so that you can conquer the enemy? Is that what you mean by bait?
Projects like that, or used in programs, or to enlist or gather or collect. I've known clones be used. A lot of clones are used when there's a lot of gathering and collecting when there's SSP missions going on, and if somebody has to be collected and sent directly off planet, they send a whole lot of the same looking clones. They're all dressed the same. They all look the same.
What kind of uniform? Do they wear uniforms? What kind of dress are they wearing? What are they dressed in?
Some of them, they've got different kinds of uniform. It depends what department, or because it's all compartmentalized. It's all off into other, so it depends. I mean, if you're on a flight team, you're in a totally different setup gear than you are to what you're working with in something else, There's a lot of departments in it, in SSP. There's a lot of compartments that are hidden, and it's much bigger than people realise, and it's more ancient than we think. I've come to realise as well.
Do you have some buddies in your space life that you recurrently contact? Friends, lovers?
Yeah, there is. There is one that comes, and he seems to come quite a lot. So, yeah.
Does he have a name? What's he like?
This guy, I would say he is what they would describe as being Pleiadian. What they would describe as. He's very handsome, and he's very official and very regal looking. And their ships are astounding. Absolutely phenomenal.
How are they phenomenal? What do you mean by that?
They are, nothing that I can describe really. Mm-hmm. In my human tongue, I would not be able to describe the language of light. It's the only way that I can describe it. A lot of these interactions are given in codes and light language, and they talk in codex and symbols, and it's quite deep. It goes quite deep.
So you're able to understand that all when you're there, but you don't quite bring it back with you.
Well, it sounds like an energetic interchange.
Yeah, I understand a lot of it when I'm there, and a lot of the teachings, and some of it I bring back with me, and I can work for days and days and days and days until I've, put the puzzle pieces together. I have to figure it out what I'm given from my interactions, and it's pretty interesting, the things I come up with.
What gets me is you're obviously a rebel, and yet you're a rebel in this society and in that society too. You're still the same personality.
Still the same personality in both. Exactly, and this is the thing that's quite interesting, because it's most of the time what I get in trouble for, and. But we have to continue. It has to go on. I have to continue being a rebel.
No. It's obvious that there's something about the rebel that's your dominant subpersonality that they're interested in.
It must be. It must be my charm.
Yeah, they're fascinated with you.
You said you were doing rescue missions. Tell us about them. What kind of you're rescuing?
People, women, children, kids, people, A lot of kids. I've done a lot of kids. Rescuing kids.
Who had them? Who
captivated?
Yeah, who captured them? What was the situation? Was that here on another planet? And
it was off planet. It was moving them from one place, and it was to a place that I believe to be on Earth, and it was a safe place. It was like a safe zone.
How many children was it? 10, 20, 1,000?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure, because I've done this like over and over and over again. So it's not like just a one-off thing. It's like a repetitive. This is not just like a one-off. It can happen. You know.
They're always rescuing children. They're like underground facilities or off planet, and I have to get them out and transport them and take them to the safe house. Safe place.
Because a lot of them are taken from a young age, and they're indoctrinated into the secret space program without them knowing. And I guess there's just a rebel few of us that want to get them kids out of there, and just that's what we do. And but if we get caught, we get caught, and then we pay the consequences. And that's the way it has been going for quite a while. And I continue doing what I do, and I'll continue going and doing what I do just to work with them, just to get them people out. I will continue to do what I do anyway. So.
Do you come in with guns? Do you blow a hole in the wall? I mean, what do you mean?
We do. There's lots of fighting. There's lots of interaction. I've had 3 SSP that are quite well known in the public eye that have contacted me, that have confirmed that they have done a few things, and that I was there interacting in their space while they were in their space. And there's weapons and things, and it's action. It's hot. You're in and you're out and you're fighting, and you do what you do, and you just get out of there and survive. Live to tell another day.
Weapons like? What is the weapons like? What are the weapons like?
Oh, I've worked with many kinds of weapons, but I've used kind of my own weapons and technology that we've got, that we're all trained with and equipped with. But you've got your own powers as well that back that up to make things work, that you work with better.
You're genetically enhanced, so you have your own abilities, like you can jump further or run faster. What are your abilities?
Yeah, or are you a marksman that always? That's the other thing that they say. When I shoot, I hits.
Yeah, I'm really good at flying, and I can go invisible. I've got under the radar abilities, and I'm really, really fast at flying. I know that. Fast. I know I'm fast.
I connected to the ship. You can fly it with your mind.
Yeah, my whole body. It's completely, your whole body is connected to that ship. You are the ship. You are, everything about you is the ship. You are basically everything. It's amazing. It's in-depth work, and it's good work.
And it's ongoing. Is it ongoing?
It's ongoing.
Still to this day?
It is ongoing still to this day. It's
Thomas,
something...
Does Thomas find you missed? Like you're not in bed or something? Or how does that work?
He does sometimes. He has found me not in bed, but I've been in the next room or strange things have happened. We are going through something at the moment and we're trying to record what's happening because activity has started again. So we know that we're active. We know that something's happening. We know that there's activity going on, but it's all kind of connected. You're not just taken by one race and then just work in the SSP. It's like kind of all connected. It's like all connected together. All these guys, they work together.
Right.
So is the military
and the governments are aware
the English
of it.
military they're picking on you? Are they unpleasant to you?
No, they've never been unpleasant to me as far as I know. You know, I've got a few friends there, but no, nobody's ever been unpleasant to me, no. I've always worked with good people that have done good work as far as I know, that I'm aware of. See, that's the thing. I've always done good work and good things. So I guess it depends what kind of circles that you're in, you know, to what kind of interactions that you're going to have. But saying that, on the other hand, I've had... Pardon?
You seem to be in the role of helping children.
Yes. And women and adults. Everybody.
Are these all human children? Are they extraterrestrial children or a mix that you rescue?
Mixed. I've seen ET children as well. Hybrids. I've seen hybrid children. I've seen a lot of hybrid children.
Yeah. Wow. So you have this full life going, and who else is involved? Are your children involved?
And were your parents, because they were so accepting? They must know something.
My mum has always been aware that there has been something that has happened, because she's had many interactions herself as well since, that she can't explain. And most of the people that I know have had interactions that they can't explain, you know, and I've had strange governmental people that have appeared in my house and come to visit me. They've knocked on my door, and they've been here and made me aware that and asked me questions, and I've answered them. So I know quite clearly what I'm saying.
How do you feel about your involvement?
Confused, sometimes a little bit cross, sometimes a little bit happy, sometimes a little bit mixed, sometimes wish I never knew at all. It's a mixed bag.
Are you always the recipient, or can you call on them and say, "Hey, I want to talk to you now"? Or do you have any? Can you summon?
Oh yeah, I can summon them. Yeah. I know when I'm going to be working. I can summon them, and a lot of I'm aware, fully aware.
Wow.
And I don't hide this fact. I don't hide this fact with anyone or anyone that's with me or my family, or I don't keep these interactions secret or from anyone anymore.
You know, some of the things you're talking about are technological devices that knowledge of these could be useful to humans, I imagine.
I've worked on a lot of things that are useful as well in the SSP. I've tested equipment for food. One of these things is like a little barcode that fits to the skin. It's very, very transparent, and it detects everything that the body consumes. This will be a futuristic thing that is coming out in use. It's a little bit like an iPhone, but it fits directly to the skin. And it's like a little plaster. It's almost like a transparent plaster that you fit to the skin. And this will be able to detect everything in your body. It will be able to link even up to your GP and notify them before you do that there's something wrong with you. Yeah. So I've worked on things like that and tested certain foods to see what they do to the body and all kinds of stuff.
What kind of foods were they?
You mean you ate them yourself?
You ate them?
Yeah, I did. They were like in little test tubes I was given to taste. They were just mush, and they just wanted to see how the body interacted with them. Yeah. So I've worked on little things like that.
Like flavor, or they taste awful?
And what did your body do when you took this?
What was it?
I can't remember much. I can't remember much of it. I just remember of tasting a whole lot of flavors and just being tested and having my things tested.
Did you ever get sick? Did any of them ever make you ill?
Sometimes I have got ill, yeah, in the physical, yeah. I have been very, very ill.
What do they do when you get sick? Do they fix you up, or because you must be valuable to them?
I do heal pretty quickly. I do get well pretty quickly. I don't suffer for long, and I've had quite a lot of dislocations and things like that, and woke up with things and broken things, but I always recover pretty quickly.
Things, you mean your bones are broken? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. I've woken up with broken bones. I've woken up with implants. I've woken up with bruises. I've woken up with lots of things over the years.
Wow.
Wow. So we're going to cover your work with Billy Carson and Forbidden Knowledge TV and what's your other TV station? You have two. Yeah, we're going to do that in the second half. Facing TV. Let's finish up the. Sorry about that. Let's finish up the SSP part the first part of the show. Okay, what else do we need to know about your SSP involvement? So people out there probably go, what in the world?
And do they speak German?
Yeah. They do, actually. They do speak lots, yeah.
Do you speak German?
Every country has the SSP involved. Every single country of the world has SSP soldiers. It's global. It's not just, and it's not all about Nazis or military and all that jazz. It's a lot deeper. It runs a lot deeper than that.
So who's running the world? Do you understand the hierarchy? Like, who's in charge? Is it the Queen? Is it the Dracos? Is it the Archons? What's going on from your
we have a huge, long history spanning on this planet of many, many different ownerships throughout galactic time and the cosmic races that are here. And at present, there's a strong draconian race ruling this planet that is Anunnaki connected. There's many races within the Anunnaki as a collective, as we know, and there's many of the Anunnaki that are battling to come back, to be here, to interact with us, to raise us to our higher consciousness levels that we can. So the Pleiadians especially, they want to raise our frequencies so that we can evolve a little bit more spiritually and mentally and physically. And the Syrians and the Andromedans, they want more technology and want to upgrade us in more technologies, and so we can move consciously forward with that. And all these races do want movement forward, but there's just a few that have their hooks still here that are just wanting to keep dominating the planet.
We have the faction that wants us to progress and move forward and perhaps join the Federation, and we have what are the factions and what races want to keep us back, and what's their motivation?
It's the good old story with dark versus light, basically, and without either one, there's going to be no balance. So it's a continued battle until it's overridden, and the people themselves, ourselves, we raise to a higher frequency ourselves and evolve. And we can only be pointed the way. They can only show us the way and show us how to get there. And this has been going on quite a while now. We've been having a lot of people that have been visited by Pleiadians and had fantastic messages come through and been used as conduits for their messages for the star races, to raise the frequency and consciousness of mankind, to bring us up to that level. But somewhere it keeps being stopped and filtered and bypassed and channeled off so that we forget. And layers and programs still continue to be added on through the draconian rulerships that are still taking an elite stand on this planet.
What's the relationship between the Draconians and the Anunnaki?
Well, they are part of the same, but there's good and bad in everything. So basically, it's just a rulership, and it's just ownership, that one believes that they are more, ownership to this than the other.
So they know us.
It's the good old tales like Enki and Enlil fighting for the battles of the domains, It still hasn't changed, These times are still continuing. It's still happening. It's still very much present.
They have stayed up.
No.
They are still fighting.
They're still fighting.
Up, right?
Well, it's like, I was just reading, it's like the difference between James's version of Jesus' story and Paul's. And so Paul is representing Marduk, or Satan, and Yahweh is represented by James.
Yeah. Amazing, isn't it? And they're both...
Does he have representation in the Bible story? Which one is Enki's version?
Oh, Enki is, in the Irish lore, Enki is Jesus. He's
right.
He's the same being.
So which story is his tale besides Sitchin's Lost Book of Enki? Is there something else that has come forward as a more close translation of Enki's story.
The Bluestones of Ireland.
The Bluestones of Ireland. So the Irish tale is
came from Atlantis, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're running out of time. We have like 2 minutes before the music comes. So let's give us a little teaser about what we can talk about in the second half of the show. So, Dolly, we're going to go into your research of ancient civilizations. What would you like to tell our listeners that we're going to cover in the second half of the show?
Ooh, we could discuss that there is a presence of a lost ancient civilization on Earth.
Oh, excellent.
Great.
Yeah.
Is it underground?
It's not. Yes, both. Both.
Now, where are you living? Are you in the UK? What about over there?
I'm in England, and I live near sleepy Dartmoor, so down in the southwest of England, not far from Stonehenge.
What kind of things are there? Are they discovering any ancient ruins lately? Or coming up with sonar? But go ahead.
There's always discoveries going on in England, and I do know there's a lot of work going on at the moment with the Jordan codices that are here in England that somebody's working with. Mm.
Well, you have to tell us about that. We're not familiar with that information.
Okay,
yeah, so we'll go over that.
Okay.
So who did Stonehenge? While we're waiting for the music, who do you think built it? Was that Nagashita built?
We're not on air. Are we on air?
Nope, we're going to be off right now. Okay, the music will be coming in just a second here.
To be continued.
Okay, Stonehenge is Anunnaki. It's one of the spaceports that's listed. Quite simply, it's a spaceport.
Hold that thought. That's our cliffhanger. Music, we're on a break for 3 minutes. Thank you.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Join Revolution Radio every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Studio B for Momentary Zen with host Zen Garcia at freedomslips.com, the People Station.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs to government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
This is the people's war. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right.
Warning! Warning!
We gotta stop them! They're gonna kill us all!
See how the trouble you've started? Be they the government, be they industry, be they organized labor, be they anyone, or human beings. Time when the operation of the machine becomes so odious, makes you so sick at heart that you can't take part. You can't even passively take part. And you've got to put your bodies upon the gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported talk radio station, throwing ourselves upon the gears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it. Right! You tell them I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Revolution Radio! All right, thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And yeah, we're going to get back to your host.
Welcome back to the Sacred Matrix, and I'm your host, Janet Kira Lessin, with my co-host, Dr. Sasha Alex Lessin, producer Debra DeFranco. You're listening to Revolution Radio, Studio B. Our guest is Dollie Indigostar. Before we get back to our show, I'd like to remind everybody to please go over to the donation button on revolution.radio. In the top left tab, make your one-time donation, and the Patreon tab, make your recurring donation. And we thank you very much for your donation. So, what would you like to say, Dr. Lessin? Where are we going?
Well, we're going to look at how the entire ET contact movement and all that has been blossoming with modern TV. And Dollie, you're right at the and with Billy Carson, you're right at the forefront of this. And so we'd like to hear about this because you've changed consciousness of the whole world with these kind of TV programs.
Absolutely.
So my request is that we go back where we left off, and we were talking about Enki and the Anunnaki and Stonehenge. So tell us what you uncovered about the ancient civilizations and the Anunnaki.
When they're present still to this day. There are so many remains of their architecture, their handiwork that is littered at sites across the planet. That is directly on our doorsteps. I'm talking, taking, for instance, where I live in England on Dartmoor. It is itself an old mining facility. There's been lots of mining that's happened there, ancient mining. And right on the top, we have things that are called tors. And on there would be beacons lit so that they could see them from the next tor to the next for communications, basically. And
what were they mining?
They were mining tin and copper and coal and chalk. So, and sodium and stuff like that. There's mining sites, ancient mining sites. And,
how old are they? Have they dated them?
They haven't. They have, they're saying Neolithic period because they can't answer that question any further back because it would rewrite the British history books on the Stone Age, basically. You know, it would be, you know, where has this come from? Where has this intelligent mining building huge constructions up in Dartmoor, in the middle of nowhere, really remote and quite terrible weather up there at times. These were huge mining underground facilities. And when you look at the Google Earth maps and go through the layers year by year, because I analyze a lot of images. I analyze a lot of space images, NASA images, Earth images, planet images. So I look at a lot of images. I've been looking at them now for the last 15 years. And my husband is even better than I am. So we go in and we look at these images and we can see that on the Earth's crust, underneath the layers that we've got from now, you can follow the trails. You can follow the trails. And you can do this yourself, guys. Follow the water. Wherever you are going, if you are going to ancient places and places of significant location and you want to find ancient life for yourself, go to anywhere in the desert or Africa or anywhere in the world where there's mountains and water. And if you look along there and look at the different map layers, you will see little tiny circles, signs of civilization that followed the water. Ancient civilization. Sometimes they're big henges, what we call henges, and sometimes they're smaller henges. There's a huge one in, there's Adam's calendar, which is said to be one of the main spaceports of the Anunnaki. And we have a huge henge, which is Stonehenge in England, which aligns to the other henge, which is up at Avebury. But all these henges align. There's another henge in Trelleborg in Denmark. All these sacred places have a henge nearby. It's amazing. And they've also got them on Mars as well. Yeah.
What is the purpose of a henge? What is a henge and what is the purpose of a henge?
I'm thinking it could be for containing energy in some way, because when you look at physics and do experiments with gases, for instance, if you put a colour in the gas and put it in a container, it'll sink to the bottom and stay at the bottom. It's a little bit the same in a huge round circle. So vibration and frequency, if you spin it around, it'll spin around there in the bottom and make a huge vibrational frequency. So, it was for containing energy, basically. For containing frequency and letting it...
It aligns
These
with
are on ley
astronomical,
lines of... they're on astronomical alignments, and they match the ley lines of the Earth. They all match up to the frequencies and ley lines. And it creates energy, so that they harnessed and tapped into this natural Earth energy that they could harness this energy. They knew that. Our ancient ancestors knew that they could harness natural energy from the Earth.
So what was the, let's see, what do I want to question? How did this begin? Can you tell us from your perspective the story of the Anunnaki, like the Reader's Digest version? There's a lot of different theories, and some people follow Sitchins, and some people, go in different directions, and there's, been 20, 30, 40, 50 years of people writing about the Anunnaki now. So what's your thoughts on it?
Well, we have Sitchin's version. there's a lot of versions out there, and basically from what we can correlate together is that there has been a galactic war or a collapse of some kind somewhere out there in the cosmos that has come across this planet and been able to seed it. It is a seeded planet. It's teeming with life. Seeded from...
And it seems like several seedings, though, right? We have, if you go really deep, like Cuomo has found giants, taller beings, 30 feet high under layers and layers. And then we have the theory of once we had those giant trees that were like the avatar trees, and we see that there might have been a harvesting, and now they're all fossilized.
It was Primo, not Cuomo. Cuomo is the governor of New York.
Cuomo. Sorry, Governor of New York. I've got you mixed up with Primo, an archaeologist.
Yeah.
So,
there's a timeline. There's a timeline. There's a timeline.
Yeah.
Listen, there's a gap. There's a gap somewhere in the timeline that has been covered over and masked over. And masked with an illusion that we're led to believe that, this is what must have happened because the scientists and the archaeologists say so because they've got a PhD. That's not necessarily the case of what is being uncovered. It's been masked over. The things that are being uncovered are being hidden away from humanity. They're not showing the things that are being uncovered. So we've got somewhere like a Bleki Tepe, for instance, that's not long come into the public eye. They've been aware of this place for a while. For the last 20 years, they've been aware of this place. And they've been excavating it and looking at this place. And it's clearly got on there that there's dinosaurs with man. Now that doesn't kind of match up to the history books or anything that we're told. And we've got pictographs in caves from here to Australia, deep, deep, deep in the Aboriginal caves, their ancestry that are depicting pictures with beings that are from the sky, with flying, depicted as flying, depicted as birds, depicted mixing things with dinosaurs and mankind and fighting. It's there. It's there for us to see. It's just, it's covered over.
So you went digging. What did you find? Did you go on any of these digs that have revealed things?
Yeah, I'm working on one at the moment. I've kind of gone on a dig, and I've put a correlation together between the emerald tablets and the codices that Father Crespi found, and the Jordan codices. They can't work out either one of these languages. But if you look at them, they're all the same writing. Now, I've spoken to somebody from the Oxford University who says that they were Old Hebrew, written in Old Hebrew. And when you look at the language, it kind of does make sense, but you've kind of got a few other things that are thrown in there as well. So we've got something here that's been written in a very, very old language that has been found at different locations across the globe. We've got one that's been found in gold by Father Crespi. We've got the emerald tablets that's in an emerald tablet. And then we've got the codices, the Jordan codices, which are in copper.
And the Eanna-Dawn too.
It's a strange one. Yeah, the Eanna-Dawn. So we've got all these things, and the Dead Sea Scrolls and things like that. All these things that are coming forward that are actually making us question our existence to be much older than what the timelines that they are giving us.
So are you able to translate these, or have you found anybody that can translate these codices and ancient languages? Like Sitchin was one of the few people, but there are others.
Yeah,
I'm
finding a pattern. It's a beautiful thing when I read, and I read these old scriptures, because I read it in poetry, but I read it in a pattern. And it's amazing that how clearly that I can see how they've used much of their language, many words, have many other meanings. And that's where it kind of gets confusing. And when it's been split up into 20 or 30 other different tongues, you have a whole new can of worms that's just opened, because nobody can make sense of the other thing, because it means completely another thing in another thing, and it's two different things in another language, and three different things could have a meaning to something else, and it becomes a whole complicated puzzle to work through. But I found a beautiful way to read through these complicated puzzles. It's quite amazing. And I don't know whether it's down to my ET interactions, but I kind of understand the Anunnaki pretty well.
So what do you do? How do you do it?
How do I do it?
What are you learning from all this?
Yeah, you know what I got from what you said, it's that when you recite it, the rhythm of the recitation is like somehow opens up the meaning. That's what I'm picking up from what you said.
I can see how they've written it in codex and code, and it's all been timed so beautifully well with humanity to be able to evolve enough to be able to work this out. And there's many guys out there who are unraveling the tablets and the secrets, such as yourself, beautiful works, and you know, it's all coming to light. Everybody's putting their little piece in the jigsaw. And yeah, it's amazing what's coming out the woodwork here.
So let's tell our listeners a little bit about the Anunnaki story. I've heard Sasha explain it. Can you explain to our listeners the Anunnaki story? What happened? How did they get here? What was their purpose?
From my understanding, the Anunnaki story was a struggling race on a multicultural planet that was a collective of beings from throughout the cosmos that lived and ruled in their rulerships and hierarchies on the planet that is known as Nibiru, that they depict as Nibiru. I think it's called something else.
Sa'ami.
Pardon?
A.R. Borden called it, it looks like Sammy, but it's Sa'ami.
Yeah.
He said that's what Anunnaki called themselves, because Anunnaki means like Anu's people who came down from heaven to earth. Right? So Anu is the god. Anu, who was the leader of Nibiru.
He was just the leader.
But what was his name?
And Tuki, which is Earth. Anu's people came to Earth.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Yeah. So their battles was really on their own planet for their own struggles, and their own planet was dwindling, and arguments for the rulership basically on bloodlines and thrones and who should be, because we have a lot of marriages of siblings and through sisters and sister-in-laws, and there's a lot of one individual that when they become married, like we do on Earth, we change our names automatically, and they did this. So there's a lot of multiple names and bloodlines that cross over each other. And we have an Aryan, a Draconian, serpents, and a bird race connection that crosses over with bloodlines and arguments. And basically this planet was teeming with substances that they could use, elements, gold especially, for their dwindling atmosphere, and spacecraft. It's very much used in NASA still today, gold, and gold is used in their satellites, and we used a lot of crystalline technology in our computers and software, and this planet was resourceful, and that's what it was first obtained for, was for resources. And the hybrid race, the race that we now know as the human race, was something that was not meant to have taken place, but did take place. And there was much discussion on within the planetary councils of how to continue the program forward, because they knew the planetary movements and knew that it would go through pole shifts and things like that, which is where the deluge came through. They knew because they'd observed the planet for hundreds of thousands of years anyway beforehand. They'd observed the moon cycles, the planetary cycles. When we're talking time cycles, we're talking thousands and thousands and thousands of years that they studied the Earth before they even...
Are you talking about the yugas, the cycles within the cycles within the cycles?
Yeah. They studied it in depth and calculated in depth and studied from different stations within Mars and within the moon as well. They built stations there. Many of the Anunnaki, when they were shipping to and fro from Nibiru, coming to the Earth to have a look and do the work here, they were using these stations. They were shipping gold and certain substances and minerals and elements and all kinds of things back.
Have you found remnants of the ruins of these stations when you do your examination?
Yes. Yeah. Quite clearly. We found ruins of stations quite clearly on many of the Mars gigapans. We've had many meetings with UFA, and it's clear to see that there's structures and collapsed structures and signs of ancient mining, and something that correlates to there being a civilization existing on Mars. And it looks like that they lived in the rocks, in the rock faces. And when we look at some of the oldest places on Earth, like Petra, for instance, and how they are carved out so beautifully into the rocks, it's like, does it kind of correlate with the Igigi, the younger Anunnaki from Mars, that came, that built dwellings with the Earth women that they took as their own? It's like, were these their dwellings? Was it in that part of Mesopotamia, in that corridor?
Canaan, it's called.
So tell the listeners about the story of that was Marduk's wedding, right?
Marduk's wedding to Sarpan at the Igigi, the astronauts that ran Mars base came down for the wedding because Marduk had hung Ansu's body there, and so Marduk was made friends with Shamgar. head of the Igigi, and so they came down for the wedding. And when Sarpanit and Marduk went off to Egypt, the Igigi ran off with 200 of the Adapite women.
Exactly.
And they aimed their gun, took Lebanon, and they aimed their guns at Anu, at Yahweh and Nippur, and said, "We want a life. We want to have families, and we want more beer, and we're not going to work for you
They
anymore."
were unhappy, totally. They were just like that. They were like, "No, we're not doing it." That's exactly how I put it, Sasha. And that's how they were. So it is.
They wanted their women.
They did. They were highly sexual beings, and we were created in their image. And if we want to look at what the gods were like, I say to many, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. They were just you and I on a bigger scale, way, way bigger and more advanced and adapted and tweaked a little bit with DNA, let's say. You know, we're just a little bit missing there.
So we're probably, because we have their DNA, we would probably feel better. Our bodies would be more suited to Nibiru than the Earth. That's probably why we have problems and sunburns and cancers. And we weren't slightly, although.
No, we were bred with the genes from Homo erectus, so that we are indeed adapted to the planet. Homo erectus was one of the primary. When they had the Council of Hatona, they had different. They decided that they would, instead of a war, they would create all these different basic beings, and so there were humanoids all over the planet. And the one that was in south of Africa, or in the Zambebo area, it was Homo erectus, and so that's. Genes of Homo erectus were used with the mitochondrial genes of Anunnaki women and the sperm of Thoth and Enki, and so that we do indeed have the first boy, the first Adam was brown, the first girl coming out of a blonde mother was blonde.
Yes. So blonde, yes.
So brown and white from the get-go.
Yes, I discovered this as well very early on, and one was the dawn and one was the dusk. So one is the morning star and one is the evening star, which is where we have Inanna and Ishtar and all the other celestial, beautiful tales of the goddess that comes into play. So it's kind of like humanity has this story already in their codex. We know it. It's already there. It's just that we're just awakening back up to it. It's been sleeping for like 3,000 years. It's now awake. Some people say it's 2,500 years. I say no. It's 3,000 years. Because the first part was to make you to forget, you know? Yeah. Go on, Sasha.
Your analysis is so powerful, Dolly. I really have come to the same conclusion that the Nibiruan society was racially mixed, and there couldn't have been a brown baby from the initial Adam unless there were brown people among the Anunnaki. It's a logical must for that to ever have happened. And we know that Enki's mother came from the Syrian Unity Kingdom, and she was a Syrian, and so he had all the access to all the material that the Syrians had. They were that's why Enki was so much smarter than the rest of the Anunnaki.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Beautiful. The more we dig into it, the more we uncover about our own actual DNA and how much we share that is kind of like reptile in feature. When we look at our hands, for instance, and span our fingers out, we've got web-like in our fingers. When we look at our skin up close, you can see almost tiny little scaly scales. They crisscross, thousands of little crisscrosses, and it's waterproof. And we also change colour as well. We all,
wow.
yeah.
Wow. Who's looked at their hands lately? That's terrific.
Yeah, so if you lift your hands and look, you'll see the little web-like. And when you swim in water, our fingers turn to those little prune-like things. It's so that we can grip. It's so that we can grip. Now, there's only it's reptiles. They have this ability when it's wet. They have this little imprint that we do on our little fingers so that they can grip. So we're so close. And you've heard of the saying, the brain, the reptilian brain, half the right and the left, and the dark and the light, and the battle and the consciousness, and the yin and the yang. And it's all the same kind of flow. It's all in tandem.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so as the Council
it's like
of Daytona,
an esoteric teaching.
The whole brainstem is reptilian. All our automatic temperature regulation, salt in the cells, fight or flight, everything that we do automatically is there. The reptilians who took that part of the genetic creation of the basic human thought in the end that's the part that would rule the rest of it.
Yes.
The brain, that is.
The brain. And that's what it's all about. And that's why it comes down to the keys and unlocking the keys of consciousness. And every human being on the planet goes through this journey of spiritual awareness, being awareness, and in search of their origins naturally. It's something we all ask naturally as a human being. What are our origins? We have to.
You know, and almost all of us, if we really go into our psyches deeply, we'll see that we've had so many incarnations that we've experienced a range of human experiences, and it's all within our personal Akashic remembrances.
Absolutely. And we keep reliving these until we've been through every one and experienced it from every angle until the lessons are complete. That's what I'm on the understanding of believing, in my belief. And I don't push that on anyone else, but that's what I believe, that I have to. Life is an education. I'm a being in this body having a human experience. And I'm aware of that.
It says there's nothing in the human experience is alien to any of us. We've all done it all.
Yeah.
Have you become aware of your multidimensional self, where you can simultaneously, realize and focus on more than one incarnation and more than one form and more than one planet or vibratory frequency? A lot of people are starting to become aware that, when I go to sleep at night and I have that other, life that I'm living, that it's a simultaneous life and it's every bit as real as this human life. And then you can go on and so on. So kind of like the SSP people, you're having these other lives and you're rescuing children. And, I'm aware I have these other jobs I do in other places, and I know where my apartment is, and I know how to get around the city, and then I'm on a mission where I'm helping. There's a lot of people that are homeless on different worlds, and so we're relocating them to these abandoned, beautiful ruins, and they're bringing in teams and we're rebuilding structures, and sometimes they're from a species that was really tall, so we're kind of retrofitting them so you can have different levels inside of the tall building. It might have been for a 30-foot tall building, and you could have 3, 4, 5, 6 floors of that building, and you could have 100,000 humans living into a building that might have been, for a species that was just their single family dwelling, right? So we're rebuilding and taking back these are beautiful planets that are just sitting there, and they once had huge populations, and something happened that decimated them. And so that's my mission. I go around, and I don't know how I go. I guess it's my astral form, or if I'm physically there, but it feels like I'm there. It's out of my face, and the breeze, I can feel things. So
sounds like the tall whites, the Nordics, and they do a lot. They've been doing a lot on the planet as well, and a lot with humanity here and inner Earth, and so that kind of correlates. But it's kind of living in multi-universes simultaneously at one time. So being aware that you are here, but you are also aware that you are somewhere else as well. So it's being able to hack into that frequency.
Right.
Yeah, I guess the trick A.R. Borden put is to be able to be non-dual and dual at the same time. So you can be little you, but you can also be all the other yous. And you don't have to give up one to do the other. You can straddle that line, and that's your awareness, your witness.
It's like remote viewing in a little way, You can, It's like you can be there, but being another dimensional frequency. It's just like tapping into that frequency. When I remote view, I just look for the frequency. So it's just like another frequency, just tuning in. But there are multi ones of them, and you can choose them. This is why we have free will, because the choice is that you really could choose anyone from any parallel universe that you have simultaneous access to. They are there. It just depends which one that you tap into, that you go with.
Right. So, of your multidimensional self, so you've got your human Dollie self, and you have your SP self.
Yeah.
Are you aware of other primary selves that may be other planets, other worlds, other dimensions?
Yes, I'm aware. I'm aware that I'm just a visitor here, and that I am part of another star family that I have visited. I have had an interaction with those. And interestingly, I appeared to them as a hologram. I was only a hologram to them in a frequency because I could not be there. Yeah. So, I've been aware that I have a star family, and that when my mission is complete, that I will return to my star family.
So tell us about your work as a producer. What kind of things are you working on right now?
Oh, I'm working on a interesting documentary. I'm working on a documentary by Billy Carson that is the Black Knight Satellite. So that's an interesting one. I'm working on
Dark Knight. Let's talk about the Dark Knight Satellite, and tell our listeners what the Dark Knight Satellite is. They may not be aware of it.
The Dark Knight Satellite is an object that is in solar orbit of Earth's orbit, and it has been picked up on a camera from an STS NASA mission, STS-88 mission, and it was captured, and it was said to be debris. But looking at the pictures, it's debatable that that's debris. It kind of doesn't correlate. And then we have a couple of other, we have a couple of science fiction writings that connect with this stuff. We have Tesla that kind of connects with this stuff. He was picking up signals. We have two Norwegians in the early 1900s. They were picking up signals. And they were all signals that were coming from outer space. And they were coming on a frequency that they couldn't work out. I
forget the whole story of the Dark Knight. That it has a shade to it that looks like it's more than debris. And hasn't it been around like before we had a huge space program? Hasn't it been around? I forget the whole story. Refresh my memory.
It's back in 1988. It was first pictured. It came to light. It's in NASA's archives. It's a picture of debris. Now we've got thousands and thousands and thousands of items of debris that floats out in space, dating right back from the 40s, 50s, 60s, from all the missions and all the things that were going on in there. And this thing hasn't come down to Earth and it hasn't shot off out to space. It's like anchored in orbit. And it's an object.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't happen.
So when Tesla and the others were getting signals from space, did they ever figure out where they were coming from? Were they coming from other planets?
They did. They said. They said it was coming from the Boots constellation. They said it was coming from. They said it was coming from Sirius. Yeah. Epsilon Boots. So it's interesting.
Go ahead. Say that again. Sorry.
It's interesting. The stories that have come along are interesting about it. So it was worth further investigation, and it's interesting.
So when you watch a documentary like that, what do you do? How do you do the research?
I go interview people. So in January, for instance, I'm going to interview the actual science fiction novel writer that wrote the article for Time magazine back in the 1960s for that. So I'm going to interview him. His name's Duncan Lunan. So I'm going up there to Scotland, and my boss Billy Carson is flying over because, interestingly enough, the guy that wrote the science fiction novel about this message that was being back that he decoded. It's quite an interesting message. I can't remember it all offhand, but it was something about we're so many planets from the sun, we're here in the solar system. It was kind of like a little map to where they were and who they were. And he kind of retracted this statement later. But funnily enough, this guy has been given authority by the British government to put the first stone circle in 3,000 years that correlates and aligns with Giza and Orion. So it's kind of amazing. So
Are you saying he's creating one, or he found one?
He created one. He was allowed to create by the government. It's a sacred place on a hill in Scotland. That he could put this sacred site there and these stones, and they're all sealed off, but they were given the go ahead, and they are directly aligned to Orion.
Where's he getting his stones to make this new? Are they in the area?
Sorry,
Is he step in?
Sorry, you broke up there.
He's making a new Stonehenge, like a henge, right?
It's already done.
Yeah,
it's already done.
Where's he getting the stones? Go ahead.
I think he had the stones quarried in from the local area, and I will be finding out more when I go there. So I don't want to give too much away as to his work, but it's completely authentic. He's very legitimate. He is an astronomer, a real doctor astronomer, and he's a very, very interesting man. So, yeah, we will be going. So my research leads me to places like that, and I also get to stay in cool places for free, which is really cool.
Now, are you doing the filming? Is Billy going to ask the questions? Are you going to ask the questions? Who's going to be on camera?
Billy will be, everybody is on camera. There's quite a few people in this. We have Jimmy Church, we have Alex Teplish, we have Matt Lacroix, we have Billy himself, Samantha Bryant. So we have quite a few people that are in this documentary. It's not just, so I'm doing, quite a lot of, I'm doing filming, yeah. Everybody is filming, everybody. I'm filming, my husband's filming, Billy's filming, everywhere's a studio, everywhere that we go, or we have access to a studio, or a huge location, or we're sent off on location somewhere, which is quite interesting. But next year we have quite a few dates that are jotted all over the globe at different locations that are quite exclusive. Good interviews.
Interesting. So that's your next project. That's 2021's project. What is this film that you had before? What If and DocUFObia? What are those two about?
DocUFObia and What If is based on what if we discovered life within the universe? Does it exist within the universe? Some of it is a lot of anomaly captures and strange lights and captures and just correlations to places and hidden NASA footage and things that are hidden from us that we question, such as the pictures that we find on images and gigapans and some of the souls and pictures that we have from the rover images. So whatever we look over and find, we kind of document it. We get it out there to the public because we think it should be seen. We don't think it should be hidden anymore. And we have the government that are coming out with quite clearly footage that come from the Navy. You know, last year the little Tic Tac that was caught above the sea, that was the footage. You know, so we have the governments that are coming out with that they do know about this extraterrestrial presence on Earth.
We know that there's so much more. I mean, they came up with a Tic Tac that was from 2006. It's like, come on. There's more than a Tic Tac. Come on.
Yeah, we know this stuff.
What do you think that was about? Why they just did that one thing and not more?
I think it's just confirmation of disclosure, basically. We've been in a soft disclosure now since some people like to say, 2012. I'm going to say like way back since like the 70s, 60s, 50s, 40s. We've been in a soft disclosure. Slowly, all along, we've been in a soft disclosure. Right. As soon as Roswell happened, and way before, because there is documentation and pictures, and they have these pictures. They know that there's been an ET presence on Earth with humanity from the beginning. It's just how they distribute that to the public without creating mass panic and mass chaos and mass breakdown and confusion, you know?
Oh, we know that artists, painters from the Renaissance did the same thing that photographs did. They regularly showed extraterrestrial craft at the birth of Christ and all kinds of things like that.
Regular. They're in history. They're in our oldest buildings and temples, and even the pyramid itself and Giza and all these oldest temples, Göbekli Tepe, Machu Picchu, everywhere, all over the globe. They're there. They're present. They're showing you in pictures who and where they were and where they came from. It's just that we're drip fed a different story because it's too much to tell humanity the truth. It's too in depth.
Not just that. It's part of a system of stealing from people while you're acting as a religion, which is cheating people out of spiritual experiences.
Yeah, it's a way of keeping control and compliance and order, and you know, if you can control religion and manipulate time and money and freedom and knowledge and power, that's what happens. That's exactly.
Well, if they allowed us to have the technologies and the cures for diseases like the regen machine, we could take off heads and replace. I mean, we can clone, we can do everything. We can basically be physically immortal, and we have energy systems that once we start using it, the whole planet will clear up, and we'll have we have endless energy that frees humanity from this.
But they do have this. They do have this technology already. Our governments have got this technology, and they're so advanced. They're like 50 years advanced to what the public are even aware of in technology.
Years in some.
Yeah, in some things, you know, it's way off.
The money system is slavery. If you can monetize and profitize and tax it and you know, what do you call it? Put interest on things, then you keep us enslaved.
Enslaved. But there's a different war going on the planet. It has been a spiritual war. It has been a spiritual, mental, and physical war within each person on the planet. And that's...
So tell us about Starseed. Because I think we have like 5 minutes left. Sorry to interrupt, but I think that there is a way out of this mess. So tell us about how do you see we get out of this?
It's just to realize that we are starseeds. We are a star-seeded race. There's nobody left out here. There's not one of us left out. We are all starseeds. We are a hybrid planet. We are a hybrid multicultural planet that shares extraterrestrial DNA. That is what I have come to discover and believe from my research and my understandings of ancient life and how it formed into humanity as we know it today.
So if we had that awareness, what could we do with it? How can we move that into something doable that we can all get our minds around and our souls?
Well, if we all knew that and found that out, then we could bridge the gap. We could finally bridge the gap with our ancestors. We could allow the connection with our Pleiadian and Andromedan and Arcturian and Aryan. We could allow the galactic interaction, which it looks is where humanity is heading. We are heading. We are in space. We are heading out there.
What do these species want to see from us so they'll be more visible to more people? It seems like, from what I'm getting, is we're blocking this next level of awareness by what? They want us to give up nukes. I was researching Eisenhower. It says you give up the nukes and we'll give you everything. And they refuse to give up the nukes. And
it's
there's
about
some
evolving.
kind of trade-off.
Yeah.
Do it.
It's about evolving. It's about the whole planet evolving into a safer planet for the cosmos to interact with. I wouldn't want to interact with a planet that was highly nuked. I wouldn't want to go there at all if I was in a craft. I think I would have political problems.
Apparently they turn off our nukes.
Oh, they have done. Yeah, they've every base that there is on the planet, I think UFOs have had some kind of reports of interaction, especially in the US. They've had so many interactions, of turning nukes off and interacting and turning warheads off. And so many generals have come forward and give their testimonies and said that they will declare, before Congress that this is the truth, that, they've witnessed craft flying over the bases, interacting with turning weapons off, because they don't want to blow us. They don't want us blown up. They don't want us to kill our species. If they wanted that, it would have happened a long time ago. We would have been wiped out with the flood. So we are important.
We have about 30 seconds. How do people reach you? What's your website?
You can reach me at forbiddenknowledge.com, Dollie at forbiddenknowledge.com. We have a streaming channel, a conscious streaming TV channel, where you can find much of the things that I've just been talking about, from other people's perspectives. We have some really good stuff on there, and mini movies and music and conscious cooking. So you can find that at forbiddenknowledge.com, forbiddenknowledgetv.com.
And that's with a letter 4.
With a letter 4, forbidden, as in the letter 4, forbiddenknowledgetv.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
Thank
Wonderful
you, Dollie.
having you, Dollie. Thanks for getting up in the middle of the night. And,
you're so welcome.
Stay safe.